All right, welcome into the half. I think we're in. That was a little weird. It's been a little wonky over here, so maybe it's just on my side. But welcome into the half. My name is Aaron Montgomery, and I am with a company called Our Success Group, and you can find me over at oursuccessgroup.com.
And I am Erich Campbell at erichcampbell.com. But what you know me from is lots of embroidery and just seeing me stomp all over poor Terry on the two other guys as we were talking embroidery again this morning. But hey, hard not to. Joe Kramer came in and he was awesome. So we had a good time talking with Joe about all kinds of multimedia and goodness with the embroidery world and decorating in general. So fantastic stuff going on there. But the thing is, today I didn't know what to do with my hands. I couldn't hardly keep myself off the buttons because Aaron was producing. And what we usually do at the start of the show is talk a little bit about two other guys. But here's the thing. I'm going to put Mr. Aaron on the hot seat for this one because I was on screen the whole time. Usually we try and get my opinion because I'm in the background and I don't get to say a whole lot during the show. But today, Aaron was in the background pushing buttons and making things work. So what do you want to talk about with this stuff? Like we were talking about elevating the embroidery toolbox, but I think it really turned into making elevated decoration in general. I mean, what did you take away from today's episode?
Yeah, I think, like you said, and that's what I love about what we get to do with two regular guys, right? We go into it and there's kind of this, okay, we're going to talk embroidery. And so let's bring Eric in and
sure.
But that's the cool part about our industry, about our space is we're all in this together. So we're going to raise the tide. It's not this embroidery versus screen print versus he showed a multimedia piece that had multiple techniques on it, right? I think DTF even came up at somewhere along the line, and we had screen print on there, and then there was embroidery, and I think when we talk about elevating, it's really about elevating what your creativity is, right? And one of the things that stood out, and this is when you asked Joe kind of for that final nugget, was where Joe talked about the fact that don't be afraid to try something, right? Terry and I always joke about the folks that we remember talking to early on in our direct-to-garment days and our T-Jet days, where you'd get the call from somebody going, I've got this box of 12 shirts that I ruined over here. And Terry being a screen printer, me being around it long enough, we thought it was a joke at first. And then like, oh, they're serious, right? Like
they were upset about that 12 shirts.
Yeah. You can't be afraid to make mistakes.
No.
Box of shirts that didn't really work out because you do have to learn it and to master anything. It takes that, I don't know, just giving yourself the grace to, do we want to ruin shirts? No, but it's a cost of doing business. Absolutely. And, I even talk about it from not to try to take this into my world per se, but I even talk about the fact that, we really need to get out of our comfort zone. Matt brought up my article, and one of the things that I like to talk about when we talk about our comfort zone is that we don't need to go from comfort zone into, oh my gosh, what the heck am I doing? Crazy big leaps. We need to go from comfort zone into the learning zone, right? We need to get past that fear zone and get into that learning zone of, okay, I'm going to try new things. Yes, I'm going to fail. Yes, that's going to happen. But I want to fail as many times as possible, really. These people that we look to that we consider masters. I mean, you're a prime example of this, right? You are self-taught. You worked, I bet you if we really held you to it, Eric, you're going to tell me that not every single one of your projects came out perfect from day one.
Oh, you don't even have to hold me to it. I volunteer it immediately. In fact, what I always say in my classes, so here's one of my, giving you the joke that I always tell, like Terry often does. Mine is, if you need somebody to absolve you from it, I'm the patron saint of failed embroidery projects, and I absolve you of all your failed garments. Tell them that Eric said it was okay. Blame it on me. You can deliver it to my doorstep. Honestly, don't, because the one thing embroiderers all learn is that every failed shirt is 1,000 more chances to run on every little part of the shirt and test on that material. Material is always plentiful and useful to us because we're always ruining stuff. And especially if you stretch, it's like you said, if you get outside of your comfort zone, if you stretch just a little bit beyond the techniques you're used to, the styles and designs that you're used to, the chances are the further you stretch, the more likely something's going to break. You're going to probably do something a little incorrect. But truthfully, most of the things we're talking about, technique stuff, multimedia, sewing through a print, none of this is dangerous to your machine. None of this. I've seen people doing much more much more like deleterious things to their machines than some multimedia. I mean, I've seen people going through all manner of products that I'm like, man, that's worse.
Yeah. Heck, people break their machines doing left chest logos. So, I mean, it's not like
you can. I mean, if you do a spectacularally poor job or sew through something that absolutely the machine won't do. I mean, it happens.
Or
the hoop. Well, hey, no, it'll do a finger.
It'll get,
From the many X-rays I've seen, it'll definitely sew a finger.
Okay,
But that's what I tell people is like those machines will punch that needle through boot leather. They will go through most things okay. It's when you nail the hoop or a 2x4 that maybe you're a little upset. But other than that, most stuff is repairable as long as you're not going crazy. And some of the stuff he's talking about, it's like throwing something on top of a screen print. You could even have a screen printed piece that was already designed that has no area left specifically for embroidery that you add an embroidered element to that wasn't originally there, and just try it. Try it on an existing screen printed piece. Throw a signature on a piece of art. Throw something. Throw a little piece of a logo. Throw a date on top of it and just try it. Just see what it looks like.
Sure.
I mean, are there complications? As a sublimator, embroidering on sublimation, there's a whole subset of complications that can come with that. You get the halo. You spread the fibers on the top and you'll see a halo of the material underneath. So there are things that come with it. But the thing is, it shouldn't be then seen as a failure. You just have to know how to work around the realities of what it does. You change the design, you embroider differently, you use different printing methods, but it's good to know. It's just good to try.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the other part of it though, Eric, that also stood out to me as I kind of think through this too, is there was a moment in there where Terry was talking and then Joe was talking about the fact that, okay, then what's the production friendly way, right? But here's what I love about this from overall decorating and honestly life in general, but just
sure.
If we're sticking to the decorators community here, which is where we're at, is this whole idea of balance, right? We do have to find that balance, right? Like I always talk about like in sublimation, right? Yes. Can you do it that way? And will that absolutely guarantee that you get the perfect print every time? 100%. Will you ever make money doing that? Probably not, because you're spending so much time that it doesn't make sense necessarily for everybody. So, but my point being though, is balance is so important to find that, balance between creativity and systems. But then here's the thing about creativity, right? We don't know what that balance is if we don't push that side of it, right? If we don't push those boundaries, we might think that we're in balance, but yet there's a whole lot more creativity that we could really kind of tackle, but we just haven't pushed ourselves there yet. So that's what I really stood out to me too, is kind of, I don't know, the yin and yang of the whole thing, having somebody like Joe around that's creative, that says, hey, let's push our boundaries, but also he, like you talked about, right? He understands the methodology and the techniques behind it because he spent the time to, what you guys talked about, nerd out.
For real.
But that's all part of the balance. And I think as decorators, as business owners, as just people in general, I think that's kind of the lifelong journey, is how do we push the envelope, but then find balance in how that, kind of comes to pass on a regular basis.
Well, I have two things about that I think are kind of useful to think about this in terms of balance. Certainly, having that production stuff, people go, well, but then you're not going to be able to be as creative.
Yeah,
I think that creativity really benefits from boundaries. And I know this sounds kind of crazy. I always tell people that restricting yourself can sometimes enhance the creativity. If you stop and just say, okay, I only have a 15-minute runtime that I'm allowed this to be.
Yeah,
I want it in under a 15-minute runtime. You'll start looking for ways to reduce stitch counts, to use different materials, you can use these different kind of restrictions to help you get there. Because when there's a constellation of options, when all there are options in front of us, the blank page syndrome, sometimes we can't do anything, we get frozen. Bringing it back and saying, hey, has to be production friendly. Here are my inspirations. What can I and can't I do?
Yeah.
It starts to narrow and narrow and narrow. And then you get this focus, and all you have to worry about is the final look or integrating pieces from, whatever the customer's brought in. And you get to that creative point quicker by honestly pruning the edge of that tree a little bit and saying, all right, all these decisions that I could be making, I'm going to start cutting some of those away immediately. Just go, nope.
Yeah.
Can't do this many processes because it takes too long. Can't do this particular process because it's going to be, problematic for us. Or looking at what's available to you and say, what are the things that I can do with the tool set I have, literally the equipment I have sometimes, and what can I do to expand inside of what the equipment I already have and the time I have for the piece. I mean, it's really interesting to see. And in fact, part of what Joe did, they were doing discontinued shirts of a weird color. So they had to start with that color in mind that informed their process.
Sure.
And they kind of were working with like the processes they decide to do kind of help that out too. And it's like a self-directed project. So they kind of had their own way of working on it. But it's like you put those things together with what those restrictions plus the kind of stuff they were trying to do, and they had something to work from. You know, they had plus they picked a lane. They were like, all right, we want this sketchy, kind of handmade, rough, distressed look. Once we're in that lane, it starts to, like I said, it narrows down. Here's our color set. Here's the kind of hand we want for the garment. Here's the design lane we're in, and it just kind of narrows it down until the focus is there. And I think that's
for sure.
But there's still, and it's still expansive beyond normal, straight full front embroidery on chest. It was much more expansive than that, but it was interesting that they kind of did it in that context where it's like, here's what we have. It's kind of like the recipe out of the fridge. You're like, what's already there? All right, now that we know it's already there, which pieces go together and how do they go together in a way that's going to work out? Yeah. So, it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing.
It is a cool thing. All right. Well, let's say hello to people checking in here. We got Ramona. Hello. We've got Barb from Minnesota Custom Made. Hello. Let's see here. Oh, saying hello back and forth. We got Gail from Kingsbury Crafts checking in. Yes, Ramona. This is again, maybe one of the reasons why I've always stayed away from embroidery. I have this unnatural fear of needles. So, okay.
What she's essentially saying is don't hold down the applique with your finger while it's running. It's a good call.
Yeah,
even for a digitizer who knows how to do that.
Seems like something that I would go, that seems like a good idea.
Yeah, all right. Stick it down or hold it down with something that is not your finger. Thank you.
Darren, hello. And Cindy, I got pulled away from the earlier show. I hope it ended well. Yep.
It did.
It ended. I don't know. You're going to have to go watch the end of it, Cindy. It was like a dumpster fire and you can't look away. No,
it's pretty good.
But you do have to go to the end of the show because I thought your secret sauce was fantastic, Eric.
Thank you.
The secret sauce, if you guys aren't familiar with the Two Regular Guys show, I don't know, was this the second time?
Yeah.
I think this is just the second time.
Third time.
Was it third?
We've all been in the rotation. Yeah. You and Terry have both done one.
Yeah. Terry was last week. Yeah. So, we started a new program, a new deal where we do the secret sauce at the very end and bring that in to, just give people a little extra bonus tip that they can take away. And, but you got to stay tuned to the end.
Secret sauce is fun. We just do a little tip. Mine was kind of close to the old school 5 things set up, but at the same time, I always do 5 things plus 2 anyway. So secret sauce is a better call. But yeah, I felt a little bad. I always feel bad when I talk about not buying extra equipment when Terry's sitting next to me. But at the same time,
but the reality is that's a true statement that you made. So
well, and you also don't want somebody to be grumpy after they buy equipment from you because they didn't know that hey, it doesn't build its own market by itself.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to think about your market.
It's not all right. Well, let's shift gears here real quick, Eric, and get into the weekly wins. Everybody that's tuned in here, we appreciate you joining us here today, and we want to hear from you guys. What since last Friday, what's been a win for you, or maybe just something you haven't shared? Eric, can I do like a little soapbox moment before we dive into this?
Man.
Okay.
Do it.
So here's the deal. We have I'm seeing at least 12 viewers that we can tell that are tuned in right now. Right?
Yes.
Do not shy away from this. I made this mistake for a long time in my life where I was like, oh, I'm not at the end result. I'm not, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I can't celebrate. Incorrect, right? Highly incorrect. In fact, it's, you've heard the cliches if you've watched any sports programs, heck, probably anything where it's, you got to love the process, not the destination. Sure. Love the journey, not the destination, right?
Yep.
But the reality is that's the truth of it, right? Because the destination is the destination.
Yeah.
We don't just stop to exist once we've reached the destination. It's that journey. If we don't celebrate those wins along the way, no matter what, right? There's no judgment to what that win is for you. If we don't celebrate those wins along the way, our internal, the subconscious, whatever you want to call it, right? then we have this like conspiring against us kind of thing happening. But when we celebrate those wins along the way, this is all scientifically proven stuff where this dopamine hit happens and it encourages us to take more actions towards that result that we're focused on, right? So those celebrations are scientifically proven to help you out. So we're giving you a platform to do that, because when you put them out into public space, that even grows it even more. So, all right, there's my quick soapbox moment, Eric. I appreciate you allowing
that's good, man. Like I said, we're trying to get the folks to celebrate. I think a lot of us we have a really big goal in mind, and we don't think that other things are worthwhile to celebrate. It's why often I don't always share decoration things. I often share stuff that's personal out of my life, because I think that we also forget that we're here to do more than work, pay bills, and die.
There you go.
And though I love the work that I do, we all have lives outside of that, and those are all part of this too, for real.
There you go. I love it. All right. Well, let's see what we got coming in here first, Eric. Cindy says, I'm locking the door next time. The customers get in the way.
No,
those darn customers.
Don't do that.
All right. I have
customers
one more thing,
first.
So
Customers first.
I remember when I was younger, my dad told me one time, and you guys, this is probably becoming a Terry story where you're going to hear it over and over again. But my dad told me one time that if it wasn't for employees and customers, business would be a lot of fun. And I was like, I was horrified. But the reality, anyhow, okay, we'll leave that there.
Some days are like that.
Hello, Helen. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. All right, Ramona. Weekly win. Completely caught up from being away at AG Applique Getaway. Good job.
Yep. Traveling can do that for you, especially at shows.
Eric and I are very familiar with the catch up. Oh yeah, we just got away. Even vacation, right? You have to get a vacation from your vacation, kind of thing.
Transitioning.
Yes.
Graceful transitions.
Yeah. I love it. All right, Cindy, my win is I got my first gifts from Sewing Machine Plus all set up in my home studio now to get caught up at work so I can play. Love it.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm going to say this. Got that through winning a contest with some jackets. It was really cool. Had a lot of great people in the embroidery nerds community voting for her. But yeah, the cool thing is I'm going to say home machines and smaller machines can do so much these days. I do sampling on little home machines fairly frequently, also because I serve a varied market in my current position more than I used to. Needles and thread are similar, folks. Machine embroidery is similar. Yes, commercial machines do a lot of incredible stuff and can handle some hardcore work, but you can do a lot of play with whatever tools you have. I think that was actually another lesson for Tubular Guys this morning. You can play with what you have and get creative.
Joe saying
and
that,
so
and you
loved it. Can't wait to see what you're going to put together.
Yeah, definitely. All right, another win over here. And Barb, like Eric was talking about, that's what it's all about, right? It doesn't have to do with business, and it's all progress. So adopted 2 budgies, which are parakeets from the Avian Rescue in Fargo, North Dakota. So
love it. Big rescue pet fan.
And Cindy, if I didn't give you the applause, here's a little extra. Okay.
The golf clap happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, there we go. So we got 3 from you guys so far. We're still, I'm still
keep going.
I'm keeping track here. I'm keeping score at home. So, Eric, while everybody's typing in their wins there, do you want to, you have something that's off the top of your head there? Okay.
I'm going to do a non-decoration one. It's still slightly work-related, but I'm going to do a non-decoration one that's kind of fun. I managed to I had a secondary laptop that I wanted to turn into something to be able to travel around with a little easier. I've got a big, heavy graphics laptop that I use in my work in Brilliance that is a wonderful piece, but it's very heavy, very hard to kind of bring around sometimes. So I wanted what I'd say is kind of like a beater car that you take out to do anything. I wanted to take one of my older laptops and work on it, but it was super slow. I cracked the case on that sucker, put an SSD in it, cloned the drive onto it. So now I've got solid state boots in 10 seconds. And it's like super, super nice, super fun, super fast. But it was of the generation of laptops that don't open easily, that are kind of a pain to mess with. So I was unplugging ribbon cables and taking parts out and all that other stuff. And I actually set aside a little time, which is hard for me to do because I'm busy and behind. And I thought, you know what? This is a tool that's going to help me be a little more portable, to be able to go back and forth places, to work where I'm at. And I set aside the time to go ahead and do the project. Parts have been sitting on my desk for literally months. Got it all done, and everything is up running. And now I have a little bit more productivity I can juice out of my day by being able to have that tool.
There you go.
So fun stuff.
Good job. Yes, there we go.
For people who don't know, I actually did IT help desk when I was a kid. How I got into this industry at all, I was at a shop that my mom worked at in the warehouse. And the very first thing I did, I was brought on in as a 12-year-old kid. First job I was doing was to take apart and help the boss with his old laptop and to get the internet running back in the days of dial-up. That is what I did when I was a little kid. And every shop that I've worked in, I've done networking, building networking systems, running cable, terminating cable, doing,
Nice.
setup on access points, all that stuff. So I've been doing techie stuff my whole life too. But yeah,
There you
that
go.
was something where I had been out of the game a long time, haven't built a computer in forever. And so it was cool just to crack a case and get into some parts
There you
and, clone a drive and do some good stuff.
Love it. Yeah, Ramona says, you're so techie. Do you want to work on part of my system? So there we go.
If I had the time, I would. I love working on stuff. That's the funny thing. Also, we talk about working with what you have. The reason I got into applique and patches, I found in our original place where I worked, my first shop, I found a sign cutter that they had abandoned, and I repaired it and got it working, and it was allowed for me to play with it and buy applique material, and that's how I got my whole shop into doing applique back in the day. So techie stuff could pay off,
Yeah, for sure. All right. I've got two more to get to here so far. Keep them coming, guys. Okay. Nice. Corey says, I'm 85% complete with my building move and equipment reset up at my home site. So good job.
Fantastic.
Corey.
Fantastic. That's
excellent.
A big deal.
Way to go.
Equipment.
Way to go. And yes, you can brag on Ramona. And that's another thing we get to. We can brag on each other. I love that.
Absolutely.
I will anyways. Is what she said. I love that. She made a spectacular design for my daughter that just got engaged. So congrats, Ramona, and congrats to your daughter, Cindy. Keep the round of applause.
Ramona's making good designs every day, but yeah, you deserve that. You deserve that compliment. And I love when people get that compliment when they're not expecting it. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff.
Ramona says, Corey, that shop is looking amazing. So good.
Awesome stuff.
All right. Well, I will jump in then real quick. And so I was able to get a program that we do most Septembers at our success. Well, all the Septembers so far at our success group. This is our third year. Nice. And we do it every September because it's a great way for our members to get set up for success in the fourth quarter. And we call it the 5 Keys of Marketing. And it's really, let's take a look at your individual company's marketing plan. And because again, you can go out there and go, oh yeah, you should do this. You should run Facebook ads. You should do that. Why should you do that? Right? Like every company is going to be different. If your people aren't on Facebook, then why would you spend money running Facebook ads? So anyhow, we get into how do we figure out what's right for our business and then build a plan from there. So it's something that we've done. And so I've got that all set up and ready to go. Probably won't start promoting it until after we get through this month's training coming up in August. But it is out there and available if anybody wants to go check it out, because we get so much demand and call for it. We don't always, we kind of, some of these programs we open up to people outside of our membership program too. Now, if you're a member, it's just part of what you get to be a part of. And so for a lot of people, they see the value in that. But for others, it's a opportunity to check it out and try something specific for their business and kind of be in and out of our success group community. So it's called 5 Keys of Marketing. So just go to oursuccessgroup.com/5 Keys of Marketing. I was proud of kind of getting that together and being early for once, right?
Yeah, being ahead.
Early's always
I'm
good,
feeling
right?
that with you. I mean, I'm late on some stuff, and I've got some people who I owe some big apologies to. At the same time, I finally have gotten some of the stuff that I wasn't on schedule with. Those schedules are coming together, and I find that it's kind of a snowball. I think if I can just keep riding on top of this thing, we'll just keep picking up those tasks and starting to get proactive. And that's nice. A big deal. Being proactive instead of reactive is a big deal. So good going, man.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, we left ourselves a little space this time for some Q&A, you guys. So this is on you to fill this space. But and any talk about any challenges you're going through or Q&A. I know Ramona's got one up there already, and we appreciate that, Ramona. And if you guys still have weekly wins, bring them in. Even if you're catching the replay of this, by the way, bring them in.
Share it.
We'll still celebrate them. It doesn't have to be live. So
might be in a comment, but we'll still celebrate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will do this. Don't worry.
You can have
I do all sorts of things that nobody sees, and I go, it worked. They'll get it. All right, Ramona, challenge: creating a multimedia design file to show layering applique. Keep your fingers crossed. So,
a lot of moving parts there, but I know you can do it.
Yeah. All right. Anything that you're working on particular, Eric, right now?
I have to say some of the biggest challenges I have right now are just dealing with various bureaucracies. But hey, these things happen. If you're working in any sort of system, you know that a lot of what you're dealing with is the other people in the system.
Sure.
At the same time,
what I'll say is scissors that say for red tape.
Well, not that I don't have, and I do really mean this, a cup full of scissors next to me. Being an embroiderer, I have
Not only
every
say
manner
for
of
red tape
scissor
on them.
tips. They are not. If I could physically cut the red tape, believe me, I already would have.
Yeah, for sure.
Not that I might not chase some of these folks with scissors if I had a chance, but I'm not that kind of guy. You know,
No.
I talk first. I use my words. But I'll say my challenge this week is to get over some of the stuff that I don't want to call people on and just chase it down.
Yeah.
Because I have to admit, I've got some stuff where the calls have fallen off, stuff is not going the way it should be, and I don't feel like having to chase it. But the reality is that it's more important to me than the people I'm working with. So I need to call and chase it down. It's on me to put that energy into it. And I know that's my challenge, is to get the energy up, and also to not let the potential for the result to be the same as ever, or to be a poor result, stop me from trying in the first place. So my challenge is to say, hey, whatever they choose to do with this, I need to know that I put in my best effort for it.
Yeah.
I need to go ahead and put that effort in, even though I have this sneaking feeling that the result might not be any better than the last time.
Yeah.
Letting that dominate what I do is now driving my choices in a way that I don't want it to.
Yeah.
That's my challenge for this week, is to get past that a little bit.
I love that you're working on that, because one of the things I always so I always say, oh, this is what I always tell people, and in all actuality, this is what I'm telling myself in my brain, right? And then it just happens to come out of my mouth too, so I end up telling others. But anytime we can go into situations like that, Eric, and just go into it with really high intentions of what's going to happen, right? High expectations, high intentions, really like, oh, we're going to really nail it this time. And then as soon as that action happens, just dropping that completely, letting go of any of the judgment of that, and saying, I have really low attachments to the actual results, right? Yeah. The only thing I'm attached to in the results is what can I learn from it? Beyond that, it doesn't matter, because it's in the past now. Yeah. Right? And so if you can get to that space when you're working on things, it just really, again, back to life in general, but
sure.
projects that you're talking about and things like that is so key. So, and the times when I've been able to do that, wow, amazing the difference, right? But,
honestly, even when the reality is that you're going to have to keep addressing it, if it's something that's critical to you, even when that reality is there, in the given space of your one day, in the given space of your list of tasks, going to the next task while you're still holding on to the result from the previous one is not helpful anyway. So even if it's something you got to circle back on, I think for me, it's like, I literally don't do the task because I'm prefiguring how down I'm going to be when it doesn't come out. And it is a foregone conclusion. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If I know I'm going to feel down when this is over, then I'm probably going to feel down.
Guess what? You are. Yeah.
You probably are.
The Yoda saying, right?
For real.
Oh,
and sometimes
Yoda.
Also, hey, sometimes you just have to say, I do have responsibility for myself, but not necessarily anybody else. And if I put forward the effort that I'm supposed to,
I can't change that. So I
can
only
good as I can get.
What are the things that I can control? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm working on for sure.
I love it. Good. Cool, man. Thanks for sharing that. It's a cool opportunity to kind of talk about that stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know it's up your alley for sure.
Yeah.
Part of what you talk about all the time with success is how to deal with that stuff. Yeah.
All right. Well, if anybody else doesn't have
what's your challenge, man?
I'll throw one out there real quick.
Yeah.
For me, the challenge is kind of trying to get through to people the necessary kind of things that we need to build into ourselves intentionally, right? So if you guys listen to Rare Guys, heck, you can listen to me at all. I've been kind of preaching from the mountaintop this whole radical goal getters thing. And we're definitely going to have some decorating type people in it, but it's not necessarily geared directly towards the decorating people. This is geared towards really anybody that wants to achieve something. But we kind of said, okay, we know a lot of other success principles coaches that could probably, they've gone and invested thousands and thousands of dollars, and they're still kind of in the same story that they've been telling themselves. So anyhow, if anybody can help me figure out how to get across to people that it's okay to ask for help, it's okay to become part of a community to get to where you want to go, that you don't have to do it all on your own, that would be fantastic. So there we go.
Trying to figure out that message. Well, that's hard.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've got it though, Eric. So if you could just share with me the exact words I should use.
Words.
Go ahead.
I will start thinking about it. I'll say that much. I'm going to put... Oh, I missed my cue and took it seriously.
We hadn't had a good rando break in the middle of a conversation in a bit, so I was trying. I was
You
efforting.
almost got me.
It was good. It was good. We were close. Good job. Hey, great conversation, Eric.
Yeah, always.
Thanks,
man.
everybody.
Take care, folks.